rebels and troublemakers to stand out. Marginalized with voices making us so proud. For identity in the industry, we all shout. So many women empowered making their own.
Content creators talking directly to you and selling products and stuff like that. We wanted that same feel of you feeling like you are there with us, right? And so all of those things became a factor in the conversations that I was having with the actors. And in order for me to get them to understand the vision that we had while doing this the way we were doing.
System try to charge us for speaking up. Left behind speeding up. Passing not even enough. Needed no introduction, but she got a theme song.
Welcome to our WOCU podcast supporting our new vertical, the Ex-Wives Club. I'm Nicci Freeman, and I'm here with our fearless, to-be-feared leader, Cheryl Bedford. And today we are interviewing our director of the Ex-Wives Club, Jazmine Nichelle, and producer, editor, Jendayi Omowale.
So the fearless, to-be-feared leader is me. I'm Cheryl Bedford. Hey. And I'm here with Nicci Freeman. It is so good to sit here and talk to Jazz and Jen. So Jazmine Nichelle, you were my very first assistant. You're a board member now. You directing. You over WOCU Productions. How was I as a boss? I was wonderful, wasn't I?
You don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that. Plead the fifth.
I feel like this is a setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bow. You were amazing. You were amazing. Prolific even. You made sure we had what we needed. You made sure you put together the things we need to put together. And I appreciate you for that.
Jazz has been with me even before we started Women of Color Unite. I had to make her a board member because she tells me what to do.
Very seldom that I have to do that. You always know what to do.
Oh, please.
Okay, so we are actually going to get started. But Jen, when did you join Women of Color Unite?
I guess I technically joined it back in like 2020, whenever the Start with 8 Hollywood stuff happened, because that's how I got introduced to you guys. It was through that, and I wanted a Start with 8 Hollywood position so badly. I think I found out right after it was closed, so I waited a year, and then I got it. But that was definitely my main introduction to you guys, for sure.
Well, it is so wonderful to have you as the producer and editor of the vertical series, the Ex-Wives Club. Just so you know, Jenna is having some technical problems. It figures it's the editor having technical problems, but that's why you do not see the Ex-Wives Club behind her. Anyway, let us get started. So, obviously, when in doing the vertical series, we shot it how we record for our podcast, Riverside. So, Jazmine, let's talk to you about that process. Describe the process of working and rehearsing with the actors on an online platform for anyone who thinks it, it's easy or, more of a cop-out or whatever.
It was, I have it in my mind correlated to directing theater, because before I directed this, at the tail end of COVID, I was directing a play in a black box theater and I caught COVID. So I had to direct them through their rehearsals for a couple of rehearsals via Zoom. So I'd done that before, not been in the same room as an actor and direct that actor and just talk to them, basically just coaching them into exactly what it is I want. I directed theater, so it was very much like directing theater, like on the camera. Like I said, I've done before. So it didn't lack anything as far as the experience is concerned, because I've done both, and I can let you know that it was very similar. It causes the same amount of grief when we don't understand each other. All of the experience is exactly the same.
In terms of the production, you still did everything the same. Like, you chose costumes, just did it all online.
Yeah.
You chose backgrounds.
Yeah.
All of that. Like, it wasn't just like, hey, show up in whatever you're wearing. And
yeah, there was a lot of conversation surrounding the way the picture should feel. There was a lot of conversation about how we were only capturing from the midsection up. So we had to fill this space with enough action to where someone feels like watching me through their screen, they're there with me. This is a real experience on a phone that you could get with content creators talking directly to you and selling products and stuff like that. We wanted that same feel of you feeling like you are there with us, right? And so all of those things became a factor in the conversations that I was having with the actors, and in order for me to get them to understand the vision that we had while doing this the way we were filming.
And Jen, what was it like to edit something like this on Riverside, and how does it differ from, everything else that you have edited?
So yes, I think probably like the most interesting thing, or the thing that differs, is like finding like the rhythm of cutting, because like if this is filmed a la real life, you might have several angles of the same character, or there might just be a really obvious moment that is happening that you're like, okay, we're cutting here. But with this one, it felt more like you had to find a sort of like internal rhythm, because the girls are over Zoom. It's very virtual. And so I found cutting with more of like the comedic moments, cutting it with certain micro expressions in like the characters' faces. That is kind of like how I dealt with the more like vertical format. And I think just like keeping things like very like lively. I think especially with like the vertical format, people are kind of just accustomed to like, oh, I'm talking directly to camera. So really making sure that you understand like that the women are in dialogue with each other, and you're not losing anything out when you're switching to this person, switching to that person. And yeah, just kind of making it dynamic and fun with the whole like virtual world of it all.
Again, I hope that our audience, right, realizes what you can do with certain technologies, especially for marginalized people, right? I mean, the one thing that you will notice in all of these episodes is the fact that every single person's a Black woman or woman of color. And the fact that we aren't necessarily given the resources and the rollbacks to DEI in Hollywood and the stories they want to tell. And, people just don't look like us. If there is a way to be able to tell your story, which may not be in a traditional manner. So, Jazz and Jen, what made you decide to do it? Right, Jazz, I remember when we were in our team meeting, and I was like, "Who wants to do it?" Jazz was like, "I want to do it." Right, and then Jen, when you sent in your resume, so what drew you to basically experimenting with us?
I mean, I would say like it's kind of exactly what you said. Like I kind of see this as like the future. Verticals in Hollywood, and honestly throughout the film industry, it's kind of like where a lot is going. It's where future investors are going. It's where a lot of new content is being created. And it's where people are getting very genuine and authentic audiences for their work, especially as you guys were saying, people of color who are kind of historically being shut out from like the more mainstream production studios and companies, but seek audiences virtually and successfully. There are so many Black women especially that have flourished because of the era of vertical, the era of TikTok, the era of social media. And so I think that someone like me who is really invested in film and TV, but also really invested in representation and sort of the future of Black women in media, I definitely wanted to kind of like take on the challenge of, editing and producing a vertical, because I do see that as like pretty much where a lot of the film industry is going, for sure.
I totally agree with the innovation of it. I chose to be a part. The biggest reason is I feel like my peers in Women of Color Unite think of me as an actress, period. And so I remember when we had this conversation, my name wasn't even brought up. And I was like, hey guys, I direct also. And I think it was more of y'all wanting to support me in that ask, especially Manon, because I think Manon seconded it when I said it via the chat on Zoom, because dare I not say it aloud. But yeah, I think it was it was encouraging to have you guys' support and the suggestion. I was, like I said, I totally agree with the innovation of it all. And, baby wants to do more things. So baby is open to experimenting. Yes.
Let me ask you a question though. What were the benefits of using a platform like this? Like, for example, you had actors from all over the country working in a, like, normally a lot of people would have been left out.
Yeah, it was I mean, unconventional in the sense that, like, I didn't have, like, there was one shot. Y'all remember when I was talking to y'all about one shot when the girl was supposed to be in the car and we're supposed to see her inside the car. There was one thing that could have, like, if I was, like, super white knuckling it and trying to keep creative control of everything, that would have taken us out of the whole project being the way that it is. But I think that outside of that one thing, this was dynamic because I got exactly who I wanted for every character. And it didn't matter where they were. They didn't have to travel an extensive amount of time or find somewhere to live. They didn't have to do any of that for them to be a part of it. And I think that was really cool. Even through the time changes, because it was somebody in Florida and like, I think everybody else was on the West Coast, but in the Bay Area and different parts of Los Angeles, they didn't have to leave their house to be creative. They didn't have to go out and buy anything. They didn't have to assume any responsibility for anything else other than their computer and their Wi-Fi. This was cost effective.
Yeah, and so I did someone else's podcast, and they asked me to come back in August because I ended with, we did a vertical series and it cost us about $150. And the person was like, say what? And I was like, yeah, the only thing we paid for is a copyright in Riverside. Like that was it, because everybody volunteered their time. And I will also say this, it is easier to volunteer your time when you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It is.
But I will tell you, though, the actors have such wonderful chemistry. So, Jen, when you saw us putting it out on the newsletter and on my network, looking for a producer editor, what drew, first of all, where are you? Because I know Jazmine's in LA, Nicci, me. Where are you? What drew you to this project?
Yes. So I'm based in New York, Brooklyn, New York, as of right now. What drew me to this project? As far as the future vertical goes, I think like I'm very pro that, especially like I would say vertical editing as well, because this is actually something that's kind of like a talk in sort of like post-production, where it's like the ability to edit for socials and the ability to edit for vertical is now in and of itself kind of like its own unique skill set versus like documentary, which is its own thing, and then scripted, which is its own thing as well. And I'm kind of just always keep my ear to the ground with trends. So I know that like the ability to be an editor producer for this and to have it completed and it looked, so amazing and it's so dynamic and interesting and fantastic. It's just like an immediate proof, like, I can do this. I don't, I'm not necessarily just stuck in the more traditional, like scripted, unscripted, like editing, producing format. I'm thinking, especially like as a Gen Zer, I'm like thinking about this vertical format. I'm thinking about how to edit specifically for that. And maybe I could be a great asset to future vertical productions. I really kind of just wanted to challenge myself, I guess, to really apply my, I guess, more traditional film and TV skills to this specific medium. And it was great. Like, I think it was like a wonderful challenge, and it taught me a lot about the process that I really appreciate. So.
And Jen, aren't you still in school?
Well, I got accepted to UC Berkeley, which is why I was like, I'm gonna be in California eventually, like this fall. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations. What are you going to be studying? Master's program or PhD?
Yeah. So I'm doing my PhD in history. It's specifically like Atlantic World Slavery of the Caribbean. So, yeah.
Hey, buddy. So you know that they are gearing up for season 2. The writers are getting ready to go into the room. Jazz, are you coming back? Jen, are you coming back? Not that I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm fucking putting you on the spot. Are you coming back? Huh?
As long as our schedules align. Because, actor Jazz has been busy. So, yeah. So as long as our schedules align, yeah, I'll be back.
Jen?
I would be interested in doing more of like producing work or post-production coordination. So yes, but less editing.
Actor Jazz, what have you been working on, Actor Jazz?
I've recently booked and filmed my first sitcom. That's going to be on Aspire TV.
Okay.
That's recent. And so now that just happened. And I've been doing a lot of auditions for commercials. So we'll see what's coming up.
So, Nicci, you want to talk about Morgan Freeman? That is her real name, our head of marketing, Nicci Freeman's cousin. You want to tell us about the game she developed?
She has created this conversation game called Tell Me More. You'll pull a card, ask a question, and we pulled some that we think are good questions for our producer, editor, and director. So, what movie scene lives rent-free in your mind? For any movie.
This lives rent-free in my mind all the time. And me and my friends do this scene all the time, just randomly. So from What's Love Got to Do With It, when Angela Bassett and Vanessa Bell Calloway were imitating Ike Turner, and they were like, "Oh, you ain't on stage. About to go on stage." So that lives rent-free in my mind. We do that all the time to each other.
I feel like mine is the scene in Get Out where Daniel Kaluuya's character is trying to find the keys, and then it turns out his white girlfriend actually had the keys, and you're just like, gasp. Yeah, that does live rent free in my mind all the time.
Okay, what's a moment in your life you wish you had on camera?
I would say probably because I do think I remember it, but probably whenever my parents took home my brother from the hospital to show me him for the first time. I do actually think I remember this as well, but I was like 1 or 2. So like it's a foggy memory, and I'm just so curious as to like how I reacted. Yeah.
Okay, so this is funny. And my husband is going to blush when I say this. I wish I could watch the moment I saw him and he saw me. Because we saw each other at the same time, but like in a different way. When we saw each other, I wish I had that on camera. Because like it's definitely the meet cute after the meet cute in a romantic comedy. Because it's for sure a comedy. It's romantic, but it's comedy. Okay? But if I could have that on camera or like record it of us actually seeing each other before he asked me on my first date, I think I would have that.
What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
My guilty pleasure TV show. Oh. Well, this is not a guilty pleasure. I mean, I guess I watched Tyler Perry.
You should be guilty about that.
Yeah, a little bit, just a bit.
And Jen, what about yours?
You got one. Dig deep in there.
I don't really watch it, but there's clips from that show Cheaters. If you guys ever watch Cheaters, that I think is like pretty funny because Peter Gunz was hosting it at one point, and then one of the guys who got caught cheating was like, "Peter Gunz, but you cheated too. Like, why are you here?" And he was just like, "I changed now." That just gets me. So maybe that one, because that one is just for pure laughs. Because why is he hosting that? He's a cheater.
Time travel or read minds?
Read minds.
Time travel, because maybe there's a way to like stop slavery from happening. I don't know. Maybe that's like too ambitious, but like that's always my fantasy. Is like go to plantation. Everybody gets machine guns, like telling the indigenous people, let those white people starve out. Nature is doing you a favor. Do not intervene.
Come get me in the time machine and I'll read their mind.
What is something that, and was one of the questions, what is something that somebody doesn't know, like a hidden talent of yours?
I mean, I can play steel pan, but I don't know if that's like stereotypical because I'm Caribbean and I am like born in Trinidad, but I can. So.
I don't know if that's stereotypical. I hope people wouldn't just assume you can play a steel pan because of where you're from.
I guess not, right? That would be pretty weird.
People dumb these days though. So you might be right. People are dumb. Is it hidden? I can make wigs.
You can?
Yeah, I make wigs. I can make a wig.
That's amazing.
That is.
Yeah.
Especially after how much we spent on those wigs for the Descendants. Let's go back to the Ex-Wives Club a little bit before we wrap up. Jen, where would you like to see season 2 take the characters?
I would definitely like to see if anyone actually successfully moves on from their ex with a man of color or a woman of color.
That was a good one. I know a little bit of the answer to that, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I would like to see the ladies either start asserting themselves more when dealing with their exes, to completely let go of the reins as far as controlling their situations, so that they can grow into other directions. I would like to see that because all of them are so strong that like they're strong in different ways, but strong nonetheless. So if they let go of the reins of the total control of each situation, I think that all of them would grow in the perfect way into exactly who they present themselves to be in the first season.
Those are some really good answers. Yeah. I can't wait to send it to the writers. Like, hey, here's what we're thinking. But I will say this for Jazz and Jen, now that you've given those ideas, y'all asses better come the fuck back. Notice how I went all the way over. Notice how I closed that loop. So before we're going to get ready and wrap this up, I want to know what's coming up for you two. So Jen, what are you up to?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, what I was mentioning before, kind of just getting ready to start this PhD, go to California. I'm kind of scared, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not as familiar with the West Coast. There's not a lot of Caribbean people over there. It's very much like, it's gonna be very foreign. It's gonna be hella extra foreign, because I feel like before I've always traveled in places that have really huge Caribbean populations. So even if I'm like new there, it's like all of my people are here. So it doesn't feel as new. California, my people are not there. So it is going to be very new, but I am very excited to just like explore a different side of America and also get to explore parts like Oakland, who I've learned a lot through political history, but not as much, everyday life of what goes on there now. So I'm really curious to see if there are still legacies of that political history and if I can become involved in any way, because it's just really cool. I've learned so much about that side of African American history, but I've just never been on that side of the planet. So.
And you will be coming down to visit all of us, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah. But I know it's like California is so big. So it's like, I know it's like a flight or something, right? Yeah.
Or a long ass drive, which I've done that drive. So Jazz, we heard about this new series. I don't remember if you told us the name or not, or what character. Y'all see, I'm trying to get some information. But what else are you up to?
Being a mom. That's it. It's acting. I'm directing something, or I'm being Kennedy's mom. That's all for me.
Jazz, Jen, thank you so much for dropping by and sitting with us and talking about Ex-Wives Club. And hey, everybody, check it out.
Thank you for having us.
The Women of Color Unite podcast is hosted by Cheryl L. Bedford and Nicci Freeman, produced by Nwabata Nnani, and edited by Lauren Bonett. The music is by Oh Yeah, featuring Nayuta. Subscribe to the Women of Color Unite podcast to never miss an episode. If you want to submit questions or responses to this episode, you can send them to podcast@wokeunite.com. Find the show notes and transcripts for this podcast on our website at wokeunite.org, where you can also learn more about Women of Color Unite and sign up to become a member for free and sign up for our monthly newsletter. Please consider making a tax-deductible donation. Donations are what enable us to create amazing programs like our #StartWith8 career development program. If you're on social media, you can follow the podcast at WOCU Podcast, and you can follow Women of Color Unite at WOCUnite.org.
Please stay tuned and join us for the next episode of the Women of Color Unite podcast, because we telling it like it is.
We need rebels and troublemakers to stand out, marginalized with voices making us so proud.